Hello! Today I'll be teaching you this icosahedron which I invented, which is kind of based on some ideas by Shuzo Fujimoto. We're going to start with a square, and on each side of the square make a pre-crease, because we're going to use a triangle grid. So first we need to have a triangle. And then take the point and bring it to that crease, and make sure that the crease you make goes through the corner of the square, and then do the same thing in the other direction. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we want to divide this into fifths between this point of the triangle and this side. So I'm going to use a method that's sort of based on Robert Lang's crossing diagonals. We're going to take this corner and bring it to the corner of the triangle and make a mark about the center of the triangle, and then do the same thing on the other side. And this is going to mark the center of the triangle, and then what we want to do is divide the side into thirds. So that's how we do it. Point to the center of the triangle, and we have this marked into thirds, and then using this crossing diagonals idea, we can divide into fifths along the center of the triangle, like that, by connecting this third point, the thirds mark, and the corner of the square. And then here we need to have, on that mark we just made, the height of the triangle, so that's there, and then that's 1/5 the distance from here to here. So now we just need to replicate that. So I'm going to fold through that point on the end of the triangle, and then we can divide this into fifths. So we've got 1 and 1/5 and 4/5. Now we have 2/5, and then 1/5, and then again we have 4/5 again. And there we go. So now we've divided this distance into fifths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to flush out the rest of the square grid, the triangle grid. I find it's easiest to start with this point here at 2/5 from the corner. We're going to make a crease through that point so that this corner ends up on the line here, and then this line here ends up along the edge of the triangle. And there we go. And then do a similar thing here, which is easier because we've already got this line marking that point. And then the same thing on the next side. And so on and so forth. Then we're just going to flush out the grid. The rest. Alright, so now we've got this. We want to make some further pre-creases, so we're going to turn it over and bring that point to the center, and we're going to make a bunch of pre-creases in this between the 1/3 and 3/3 mark. In going down the center of these rhombi. And then we're going to make more pre-creases up on this top edge in a similar fashion, except here they're offset. You'll notice we've got this triangle in between, and so we're only going to make 4 of them instead of 5 because of that offset. Alright. And then we're going to make a pre-crease here on that edge. And my crease is already there, we're just reversing the direction. Alright, so now we're ready to start collapsing it. First, what we want to do is we want to collapse all of these creases all at once in a what's called an iris twist. So, and those of you that have folded some of Fujimoto's work will recognize this kind of maneuver. This is what he uses in his cube, just translated onto a triangle grid. So, again, just in case you didn't see that, we're taking this and collapsing it in on itself, and then we get this sort of flat part at the bottom. It's kind of like a cylinder here, or a prism, I suppose. And then what we want to do is to lock it closed. We want to take this part and slide it inside the other one, like that. And that'll keep it closed for the most part. And then on the top, we want to collapse the pre-creases as well. In a similar manner. And this is going to be a little bit harder because the edge here is going to interfere a little bit. So it might be helpful to reach in there and push it down while you're doing these. You want to make sure that they're all going in the same direction. That'll make it easy to do the next step. And it can get a bit tricky to do when you're on the last ones. There we go. And then this is the really hard part. So to demonstrate how the next bit works, I'm going to use this piece of paper here. And we're going to collapse it just like we did here. And then what we're going to do is do a swivel fold using this crease here. And that's going to be a little difficult to show inside this model. So I'm going to show it to you in this version, which doesn't have the end closed. So you can see we've got this. And what we're going to do is swivel. And so there's one, and then the next one comes down like that, and so on and so forth. And this is really tricky to do. So, and then we end up like this, and actually I think this one, yeah, will be reverse folded. There we go. And there should be a slit right here. And that's how you know you've done it right. And then this part flattens out, and you don't worry about it. And it looks like this from the outside. So again, you can see we've got all these swivel folds done that sort of copy it in half. So now we're going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to do it inside the model. So it's going to be a little difficult to see, but not impossible to do, hopefully. And you kind of have to do this section a little bit by feel. There's not really a good way to know whether you're doing it and to be able to see what you're doing. You just have to sort of make it work. And you can kind of open it up a little bit and look inside just to check that things are going the way they should. But I've got definitely the hardest part of the model. Alright. I've got it done. So you you can see we've got this open slit right here. There are no layers in between there. And it all folds flat inside. I'm bringing my finger all the way across all layers. And I'm just going to look inside there and check just to make sure everything went the way it was supposed to. And it looks like it didn't actually. So I'm going to see if I can fix that. There we go, it got caught. And really, it doesn't matter all that much if it's perfect or not, just as long as it's flat. So then, to finish the model, it's pretty easy actually in concept, although it's a little tricky to do. What we're going to do is pop this center point up and pop bottom point down and just sort of slide this over until the edges match. This is a bit tricky to do, like that. Just be gentle and make sure you don't crush anything. And you can sort of stick your finger in to ease it along if you need to. And then I'm going to tuck this tab in there, and you can use a bit of glue to secure it if you want, or you can just lay it on this bottom face and then just sort of push until it comes together, and then you have it, an icosahedron. And then to store it, you can just sort of flatten it back down, and it stores a lot nicer that way.